in everything they have spiritually, and they build in the physical representation in their environment.
Wow.
Right. And they're using the orderness, you know, because order is the first thing after the Big Bang, because chaos came and the order had to put everything in a designated place.
Right, right.
Right. So even amidst what looked like chaos to everybody else, these people have the knack to be well organized in their chaos. Even if a lot of them be old Christian ladies. The irony of that is, if they practice chaos magic, they would be the coldest.
Wow.
They're natural chaos magicians, taking chaos and creating order out of chaos. They problem solvers too.
Wow. That's deep. So let me ask you this. Earlier, you talked about you used the word intentions.
What they're talking about is reducing the length of the telomeres on the chromosomes. They have a new drug out now called telomeres, and it actually is designed to extend the telomere caps that causes a lot of what they call congenital illnesses, or stuff that you get from age, to decrease, like high blood pressure, diabetes, and it start giving the signs of reversing aging. It makes your skin better. So when they talk about them capping our DNA, they actually uncap most of the chromosome, where the telomeres only cover the tips of the chromosome. This is what they call in the Bible that that the spirit should always dwell with man, for his days should be 120 years. That's based off the median time frame of a person living a healthy lifestyle to reach 120 with minimal complications. But with all of the poisons added to the atmosphere, to the food, to the water, all of those things are reducing the lifespan of humans.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't know about that medication that they had put out. I gotta look into that, because that sounds very interesting for real. But I agree with you on the telomere caps, and that was Genesis 6:3 that you was referring to, when my seed shall abide in man for 120 years. Yeah, they definitely got that inside the Bible in Genesis 6:3. So my next question to you would be, well, what did the Anunnaki think of the humanoid that was on Earth when they arrived?
They thought of us as primitive and savage, according to the text, because when they say they took one of the hominids that existed, they say they captured one of the savage hominids that was roaming the earth already. So the Sumerian tablets testified that we was already here.
Okay, well, just a little piggyback on that. Well, would you say that we have some of their DNA inside of us?
According to the text, and without me getting in the laboratory, actually looking at the genome to determine what's natural to the human and what's not, I can't say for sure, but based on the stories we've been given over the ages and the way that we've been told everything operates, it would seem that a sizable portion of the human family have Anunnaki, or they really call it the denier DNA.
So would it be safe to say that they liked us enough to at least share some of their DNA with us, or they at least found us as a
I know they liked our women enough to set off on a 6,000 year rape campaign. So they gotta like us some kind of way somewhere.
Well, you think it's rape? I mean, grape. I don't want to use that word on YouTube, but you think it's to that extreme? You wouldn't think that it was just
so I just read it out of the book.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it all over the earth. They ain't stopped. Look, when they talking about blood sacrifice, they talking about a Babylonian blood magic ritual, right? When the church talk about taking the Eucharist, drink of the blood, eat the flesh of the Christ, it's symbolically eating the deceased corpse of a god, right? And spiritually, the symbolism is the same as the actual event. They reenact it in order to make sure they can keep the spell in place. This is the Babylonian seeing right. That's why they say everybody is born in sin, shaped in iniquity. What they're talking about, all of us is being born, taught these bloodletting rituals of sacrifice that was written by Anunnaki by the name of Ninursin as a conjure control over people. He also wrote something called Babylonian sex magic and Babylonian money magic. And he masqueraded as Tahuti during the Anunnaki Wars.
Well, how many aliens do you think, from your information and your opinion, how many aliens do you think can be on this planet right now?
Out of 8.4 billion people?
Yeah. I mean, and plus the ones we don't know about.
Man, I can't give you no number. That right there.
That's what I was waiting for. I was saying to myself, nobody can tell you that.
That's a very high speculation that takes a lot of confidence in knowing everybody individually on the planet. I don't know everybody.
I mean, estimations. Yeah, I mean, estimations ain't never hurt nobody. I can dig it. I'll accept that answer. I'm with somebody. My girl wanted me to ask you this. She wanted me to ask you, is there any study that compares human brains to an alien species brain? If so, where can we find it?
If they did a study, it's still classified as top secret. And if they did a comparative analysis, it's in secret, it haven't been released. Because remember, they just now admitting to the possession of what they call biologics, which is the bodies of what they call aliens. So if they just now admitting that, a lot of their studies like brain mass, weight, density, how many synapses per square inch, all of that stuff, they would have not released it yet because they only just now telling us they got the body. So we don't know what studies they done on the body, actually done on the body of the biologics that they possess.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Now, my final question to you, and I don't know too much about this, so this is what I really need you to expound on, because it's hard to really get good information on this because none of us have ever been there. But what did the Anunnakis say or leave behind or depict anything? What did they say about Antarctica?
Antarctica is not called Antarctica in ancient texts. Matter of fact, Antarctica has only been called Antarctica roughly about 100 years. Mm-hmm. Right? Before that, I forgot the name it was called, but it's in the book of Enki. Mm-hmm. I mean Enoch. In the book of Enoch, he describes the landmass of Antarctica that's under the ice before the ice was formed. Right. So when you go to the book of Enoch and he started laying the landmass out of this desert place that he's describing what's under the ice in Antarctica. And they only just now, since they've been going to Antarctica, was able to discover that that's the place that Enoch is describing.
Okay. Yeah. Because I haven't delved into the Antarctica subject too much. I try to stick on, you know what I'm saying, to reality. Like we can't really touch base over there. But I always be fascinated with Antarctica. So I think we should hear more about it on this channel for sure.
Look up the Bashinga tribe of Antarctica.
Bashinga. Okay, bet.
Before you go, I want to just add what Rod said if you're interested. There's an herb, actually it's a root called the astragalus root. I showed it on the screen, and it helps to maintain telomerase, which maintains the length of your telomeres, which is what he was talking about. You can actually go get that at any health food store.
Oh yeah, can you name that one more time? Yeah,
it's astragalus, astragalus root. And I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Rod, but it's a supplement that I use, and basically it helps activate telomerase in your body, which is an enzyme, and that keeps your telomeres long, like in your actual DNA. It keeps it from That's how we age. Our telomeres start to shorten. So it's called astragalus root, and you can go research it. It's really good. You should take it as a supplement. I don't know, Rod. Rod, what do you think? Is it good? Because you said a chemical or something like a drug, but there's an actual, like I'm saying, there's a natural supplement. What do you think about that? Have you heard of it?
I haven't heard of that particular root. I haven't done research on it. Before I had came across the telomeres treatments that they was putting out, I was onto the studies from a gerontologist out of UCLA named Cynthia Kenyon, and she found a receptor on the cells that allows also the aging process to ensue, which contributes to the deterioration of the telomere. So go look up, she got lectures on YouTube, Cynthia Kenyon from UCLA Berkeley. She's the gerontologist who had discovered the human aging hormone. And she created a blocker, but they still doing what's called animal trials.
While we're still talking about South Africa, I did want to like ask this question in Antarctica. So Credo Mutwa talked of the moon being a spaceship that came into Earth's orbit millions of years ago. Based on South African mythology and some Earth-based South African beliefs, they remember a time when the moon didn't exist in Earth's orbit, and there was a fog that when the moon came, it regulated the oceans and seas and took the fog away. He also talks speaking to aliens, South Africa being close to Antarctica. What do you think that things like when you talk about the Anunnaki and different aliens and things like that, is there like some alien life form in Antarctica? And what do you think about inner Earth theory, like the
okay, first, the last question first. The Earth is cavernous. It got giant caverns. A good example is the Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, right? So just imagine that somebody can turn these into living quarters and be able to sustain themselves. All they would need is the flow of water and some kind of light in order to illuminate the cavern, and they would be able to live in there indefinitely if they know how to greenhouse farm. They have underground bunkers that's been emptied in Switzerland where people was living there. But now they tell it as if it was just a contingency for war. But Switzerland is the only country that has been the neutral zone ever since it was established, and they've been financing both sides of all wars. So those people that was living there, I don't know where they went, but they ain't there no more, because now they are showing and exposing those bunkers, thousands of them, which is cities underground. There's also cities underground in the Middle East, in India, and cities underground in Europe, and cities underground over here.
So you remember there's a pilot that went down to Antarctica and he said that he got guided in. I think it was like Robert something. He went into Antarctica and it guided his ship into it, and he got to see a whole city down there.
That was Admiral Richard Byrd. His first voyage was into the center of the Earth through the North Pole. His second voyage was supposed to be a trip to Antarctica, which he ended up going to the inner Earth through Antarctica as well, according to his report.
So was that a cave, or was that does that prove that inner Earth exists?
Well, if it's a cave, it's still inner Earth. Even if it's just a cave, it's still inner Earth. It's inside the Earth. That's inner Earth.
Right. Good point.
I want to ask you, Rod, with that question. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up. You know how people say, well, our people aren't from caves. We're not from caves. So what do you think about that when we hear about this? You've probably heard of it, I'm sure, where the early humans had to go retreat under the earth, underground, to survive from, I think it's these watchers that you talk about, but they say Neanderthals And also, I want to ask you that too. Are Neanderthals the watchers? So, but I want to ask you, what do you think about when they say Black people? They make the distinction, or we make the distinction, saying Black people aren't from caves. When you talk about inner Earth, can you answer those two questions for me, please?
If it's a place to inhabit anywhere on the Earth, in the Earth, or around the Earth's surface, we didn't been there.
Yes, sir.
We didn't been there. We already know in our collective historical record everything to know about Earth. The people that don't, they the ones that's now learning about Earth as your scientists, your explorers, etc. They the ones trying to figure out everything.
Okay.
When our consciousness come back all the way online, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying ain't gonna sound so crazy no more.
No, that makes a lot of sense what you just said, and I absolutely agree about that point. And then I asked the second part. I forgive me that I'm just overloading you with questions, but I have a lot of questions always for you. So what about and forgive me if you already addressed it, but when we talk about the watchers, interchanging Anunnaki, watchers, Nephilim, whoever they are, like, are they at all related to what we're told in science as like the Neanderthal, who's not and even the
Denisovian. So
yeah,
look,
so tell me about that. Are those the actual watchers?
The watchers, they look like regular people and they live around us, but they don't participate in hardly anything, but they watching everything going on. They creating what's called a eyes-on approach to the Akashic records being uploaded.
Oh, wow.
That's why they call them the watchers. They don't, like, the dirt might be going on and they might be everywhere the dirt at, but they don't never participate. They just need to see who the dirty players was. So now it's in the Akashic record. So when we finally get this solar flare that wake us all the way up, all that information, we gonna know every dirty player, whether we want to know them or not.
Okay, like are they like, you're saying like sleeper cell kind of people?
Almost, except they might not never be used in war like a sleeper cell will. They might just only have to see the dirt being done.
Wow. What about this? I keep on saying I want to talk to you because I actually had an interaction with something when I was smaller. So I'm not stuck on the word watcher, the name, but it was a very, very big, like tall shadow. It wasn't even a shadow. It was like I couldn't decipher what it looked like, but it was a very big presence. And it was like, it gave a vibe of male. And so what are those shadow people that we hear about that come and manifest to us? Like, what are those? Those aren't watchers then when they interact with us?
Normally those are ancestors. And the reason why you don't really get a good visual of them because they're outside of the 3-dimensional 1% light spectrum, right? Anything outside of your light spectrum, it can still communicate with you. It can see you, but you can't see it. But when it starts communicating with you using psychic channels, you'll get imagery of the outline or the layout, or you'll see something that will identify who it is. Psychic self-defense tell you that anything that comes into your circle, right, which is your 6-foot perimeter around your body, your questions is, who are you, where you come from, and what do you want? Because you don't have to agree to participate in anything they present to you. Those are from the laws of magic, right? They teach people that in magic, that when they encounter a entity, they make the entity have to identify themselves to you and state their nature of business with you and who sent them if somebody sent them. And a lot of times these are egregores, which is called a thought form, where somebody can concentrate enough mental energy to go perform a task that's outside of the light spectrum, like communicate with somebody through a projection of imagery of the mind, because all minds are connected, whether we want to accept it or not.
When they communicate, because as I said, I had a couple of interactions it always has a very, very, very deep voice. Like, what is that? I'm sure you've heard of this.
The voice of many waters.
Why is it so deep like that?
Okay, so you got to remember, they coming from a different frequency tone as you. In the 3D, we have a spectrum of frequencies that we can intonate through vocalization. Mm-hmm. And in the spirit realm, they got a different set of vocal frequencies, but they talking to you psychically. Part of them sounding like they have a deep, heavy voice is the sense of authority. That's what the name Enlil mean, the Lord of the booming voice. Right? But it also means Lord of the Starfleet, the governor of the one who carried the ships from the Starfleet. So we got two different meanings because the word in Sumerian Akkadian mean Lord. Lil mean booming voice, right? But it's applied as a secondary application to the one who is in charge of command, because the one in charge of command is in charge of the voice of command, which they say sound like the voice of many waters.
Yes, definitely. That's a beautiful answer. When can I sit down and actually have a one-on-one with you about the encounters? And I want to actually have you talk to us about how that relates to the, like the Dushi, the Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. I want to do it tomorrow. No, when? Like, do you think we could do something this week?
Yeah, you got to inbox me.
I'm just going to go through Sonnetter. I'll go through Sonnetter. Is that okay? Okay, just have him. Yeah, just have him text me where you want the information. I can't do nothing tomorrow. Either Friday or Saturday, I might be able to work something with you. The reason I'm saying this is I have 1,000 questions. What you just answered with the voice, and you related it to Voice of Many Waters. I never put that together, and I'm really good at putting stuff together. So I have so many things that I want to actually pick your brain on with my encounters, because you know what happens, Mr. Hayes? They like there's cycles of my life when they come in. And I know something is, I don't know how to explain it, but you get what I'm saying? Like, we'll talk, we deal with, because you got, yours is more along the lines of metaphysical and mysticism. So that's a different show from today. But yeah, get with Si. He'll set us up for either Friday or Saturday. Awesome. Thank you.
So I have a question too. Before I know Sonnetter trying to leave. CERN, I know, hold on real quick. CERN is trying to separate dark matter from, or trying to find out what the God particle dark matter is. And then they're saying that there's creatures coming up out of that when they actually charge that system up. There are actually things coming up out of that. And then you have like this Mandela effect that's like actually happening. What do you think that they're trying to do? Do you think it's like they're trying to create like a worm, not a wormhole, but like try to like figure out a way to space travel through this? Or what is your idea on CERN and what their intentions are?
CERN is doing a lot of things. The God particle is called the Higgs boson. They discovered in 2012.